biology. Figure 9.1 shows a root air cell. So this is the root air cell. So the first thing that we need to understand is that where is the root air cell found? So the root air cell, it is found near the tips of the roots. That's where you find the root air cell. So that is point number one. What is the function of this root air cell? So number one, to absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. So that is the function of the root air cell, to absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. So water is absorbed by the process called osmosis, and mineral salts are absorbed by the process called active transport. So apart from this one, there is another function of the root air cell. So the other function, it is simply to anchor the plant in the ground. So that is the second function of the root air cell. So remember the functions of the root air cell. Number one, to absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. Number two, to anchor the plant in the ground. So those are the two functions of the root air cell. So let us now look at the structure of the root air cell. This is the structure of the root air cell. So the root air cell, it has the outgrowth elongation. So this is the outgrowth elongation. Then we have the nucleus, and then this, the outer party, it is the cell wall. Then we have Y, which is the cytoplasm. Then we have Z, which is the vacuole. Okay, so let's look at part one. So name the following parts of the cell. So we have Y. So Y, it is the cytoplasm. So that is Y. And we have Z. So Z, that is the vacuole. So part two, the function of this cell is to absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. Describe one feature shown in the diagram that is an adaptation for this function. Okay, so the root air cell, it has 3 or 4 adaptations to its function. So what makes it to absorb water and mineral salts, or what makes it to anchor the plant in the ground? So now the function is demanding for the feature that is shown in the diagram. That is an adaptation to its function. So for it to absorb water and mineral salts, it has this part, which is the outgrowth elongation. So this outgrowth elongation, this is the feature that makes the root air cell to perform its function efficiently. It has the outgrowth elongation, which increases the surface area for faster diffusion during absorption. So that is the feature that is shown. So there is another adaptation which makes the root air cell to perform its function. So the other one is that the root air cell, it has no chloroplast. So this creates more room for the absorption. So that is another adaptation. So remember, the question is just demanding on the feature that is shown. Okay, so this is another feature. So the other feature is that the root air cell, it has high concentration of mitochondria to provide energy for active transport. Also, the root air cells, they are numerous on the roots. That increases the large surface area for the absorption of water and mineral salts. So those are some of the adaptations. State two features of this plant cell that could not be present in a typical animal cell, such as a liver. So, two features of this plant cell that could not be present in a typical animal cell, such as a liver cell. So, this root air cell, it has a cell wall. A cell wall, it is a feature that is only found plant cells, but it is not found in animal cells. So the root air cell, it has a cell wall which is not present in a liver cell. Then the other one, it is the root air, which is the outgrowth elongation. So the liver, it does not have a root air, which is the outgrowth elongation. The other one, the large vacuole. But B1, state what is meant by the term osmosis. So osmosis, it is the movement of water molecules from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a selectively permeable membrane. So that is meant by the term osmosis, the movement of water molecules from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a selectively permeable membrane. Part 2. Explain how this process applies to the uptake of water by this cell. So how osmosis is applied to the uptake of water by this cell, which is the root air cell. So number one, the root air cell, it has lower water concentration or lower water potential than the concentration of water in the soil. And then the root air cell, it has a cell membrane which is partially permeable. So those two things, they make the process of osmosis to be applicable to what? To the root air cell. So thank you very much for watching.